Is it just me, or does everything get that much louder when your toddler finally goes down for their nap? I don't know. Hi guys, we're gonna have a conversation. First of all, I feel like crap, and up until about an hour ago, I looked like crap too. I mean, this is the result of forcing myself to put makeup on. I asked y'all on the 23rd of February some things that we Christians do that are kind of cringe, kind of weird, kind of, okay, am I just doing this because this is what everybody else is doing? Am I doing this because this is what I've always done and what I've always grown up around? Or is this biblical? Questions, questions, questions. And we got some pretty good responses. So I'm thankful that you guys answered and you guys responded on my Instagram. If you don't follow me there yet, feel free to. I'll leave my link in the description to my Instagram page. Guys, the baby hairs are out today. A couple things before we start. I do not claim to say or know the truth behind any of this stuff. Okay, this is honestly, it's my opinion, first of all. Second of all, just take it easy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just if we're just having fun here, we're just having conversation, we're just talking about things. We're just talking. And let me tell you, almost every single one of these things apply to me. So if there's any, offense going on that might occur, it's already happened here. And it'll probably happen more here as we talk about it and as we address some of these things. Maybe these are some things that you've seen yourself in church. And I'm talking specifically to the charismatic Pentecostal Christian religion, okay? So anyone outside of that, bless you. Oh my. All right, let's just get right into it, shall we? Because the first response is like, the first one. I will try my best to keep it condensed. I won't try and rabbit trail, but if I do, I apologize. Things that Christians do: listen to Bethel Hillsong. Let me first address the listening to. Okay, listening to Bethel, listening to Hillsong. I believe that it's healthy for us to have a wide range of music or worship and praise selection. I try my best to, we keep in tune with the worship that comes out today and the songs that come out today, but my gosh, my heart burns for songs that came before us, and even hymnals and old school songs that some people will be like, oh, that's a throwback or that's an oldie. And I say, yeah, but that's good. I mean, it's good to have both. It's good to have a balance of both. I'm sure we're all very well aware that worship music has become really a business. And I mean, a lot of it is thanks to churches like Bethel and churches like Hillsong. Outside of listening to worship music around Bethel and Hillsong, I know that there are lots of different opinions and lots of controversy and lots of rumors and lots of cult calling and all of these things around Bethel Church, Hillsong Church specifically. Where do I stand? I love them. I still do. And let me also say this. If you're going to trust anything on the internet, I always approach things in a way where if I cannot sit at a table with you personally, if I cannot approach you face to face, hear your story, I don't know if that gives me place to judge or to make decision based off of what a movie shows or based off of what interviews or articles show. Am I wrong? Am I right? I don't know. I'm probably wrong. But I never want to judge a person because I see these hate accounts, these calling out these men and women for being false preachers and yeah, we're going there, guys. We're going there. They're calling them out in Instagram posts. I don't know. My heart just breaks. Wow. Do you know these people? Do you know them personally? That you can call them out that way? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I've seen it all, guys. I've seen the articles. I've seen the grave thing. I've seen the girl, the 2.5 hour, or I think it's an hour long interview that the girl does from Bethel. I've seen the American Prosperity Gospel. You know, if you believe that's what the Lord's telling you, then be obedient unto the Lord. But I would hope that, I don't know, I would hope that maybe you would feel led to pray for these folk. And if you really do believe that these churches are cults and they are misleading thousands and thousands of people, then I pray that you seek the Lord and you ask God for an open door or a way where you can pray and you can intercede, and that it's not something that's bashing them, but it's something that's blessing them. Okay, that's where we have to be careful. That's only our first one. I'm not the most educated theological person to come at this approach with, but I'm not sure how to come at this, period. Okay, so as far as listening to Bethel and Hillsong, I still do. I will admit though that sometimes you think, okay, am I singing to God or am I singing to my partner? You know, it like kind of like that. I get it. So I just don't listen to it. Just don't listen to that one. I mean, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but hey, if that's what you want to do, God bless you. And on the subject of these churches being cults and that they're false teachers and people that are following them are all going to go to hell or there's no hope for them, well, then you better pray to God that he uses you to intercede somehow. Pray for the people that do. If you really believe that what you believe is truth, then pray life, pray blessing. I know the majority of these accounts that come after these churches and these pastors, I'm just like, oh, because there's nowhere in their comment section or their description area that says to pray for them or bless them or ask God to use them mightily and correct maybe their theology if the way that they're doing it is false. I don't see any of that. I'm done. We're moving on. Color their Bible like a coloring book. Pet peeve. Oh, come on, girl. Give me a break. I color mine. Let me grab mine. Hold on. I color mine like a coloring book. The book of Proverbs is all marked up. It's not a bad thing. Y'all need to stop. Oh my gosh, how will I rip out this page? Oh, good grief. A bunch of notes, a bunch of different colored highlighters and stuff like that. And I love it so much. I've been all about the app Bible, but I've been really, I don't know why, I'm just drawn back to the pages. The sound. Not really, it's kind of irritating. When you hear the rustling of the pages on Sunday morning. Gotta love it. Number 3, the closer the stage, the closer to God is doing. It actually is, and it applies to me. Let me tell you why. Especially when guest speakers come, I don't know what it is. Like, everybody's just like, flock to the front, get to the second row, because you already know the first row is reserved, right? Reserved for staff. I think my church, we have the first 2 rows for staff. So get to the front. The closer to the prophet, the better chance you'll get of a prophetic word or something. It's like, what? When did that become a thing? You know how when you have your section on the 4th chair in, 4th row from the front on the left side of the stage, that's your spot every single Sunday. You sit nowhere else because that's your spot. Even the ushers know that that's where you sit, and they don't even sit there. You can't tell me that's not true. I did that a lot in Bible school. I was always the very first row in the very middle, right in front of the speaker. And that's just where I like to be because I could hear better. And yeah, I was closer and more chance of me getting a prophetic word. When they say praying for you, but just typing it out, not really praying. Yo, watch out. These Instagrammers really be coming for us, man. Jeez. Yeah, we gotta get better at that, y'all. Try my best to pray right there. I don't even type out anything. I just stop and I pray. And then if I feel like typing out something, then I will. But for the most part, I try to stop scrolling and I pray. I'm not gonna put, okay, praying for you, and then I'm not praying. Like, I'm doing them a disservice. I mean, I'm just like typing out that I'm praying, but that I'm actually not. I would rather pray and not type out anything. Right? And then let them know later on, like, hey, I remember you said something about this, and I just wanted to let you know that I pray, and this is what the Lord said, or something like that. And I mean, I'm not trying to get like all technical about it, but when you're gonna say something, you do it, basically, right? And that doesn't just not apply magically because you're on Facebook. What always has been is what always will be. This is a loaded one, y'all. I think this applies more to, I mean, it can definitely apply to us, but I think it applies more to our parents and our grandparents and more of the alpha generation. And when I say alpha generation, I say it in reference to alpha and omega. So we are the omega, we're the latter, right? And then they are the former, so the alpha. It'll very well probably apply to us once we get older. I believe that it applies more to that generation, the alpha generation, because what I say is what I say. And the way that it is the way that it is. And that's the way that it's always going to be. Okay. But then how do we go from glory to glory to glory to glory to glory, faith to faith to faith to faith to faith? How do we grow in that? If what is what always will be, there ain't no room for change that way. There's no room. I don't see how there's any room for change. I don't see how there's any room for progress. I don't see how there's any room for anything different. I mean, it's just like, okay, so it's literally cookie cutter. I think there's a beauty in what was. There's a different kind of raw, holy type of beauty to the former. And I believe that if we can also embrace the latter and embrace what the omega generation and what they're stepping into and what God's calling them into, oh my God. I mean, you bring the two together, boom. I mean, revival, reformation. I mean, that's what Malachi says, right? Your old men and your young men. I mean, it's the both. It's the two. Jesus. But if you're talking more specifically, I'm the one that plays the tambourine. I don't know why I thought about the tambourine. Or I'm the one that does this. Or I've been doing this for this long. This is how it's supposed to be done. And this is how I want it done. Oh, okay. So you're controlling. You don't want to release anything. And you don't want the giftings and the call that God has in your predecessor to bless what you have spent, or actually the time that God has given you to spend stewarding that which he gave to you, which was playing the tambourine. I mean, it's like, come on, you're not going to live forever. I mean, just steward that well and bless the person, pray for the person maybe who's going to succeed you. But that's the thing. Some people just don't want to be succeeded. Some people just don't want to see, they don't want to let go. They don't want to release control. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's where everything else stirs up. It's just like, oh, now they start nitpicking things. It's more branches than root. I'm just saying it's more of the smaller things. The smaller things kind of multiply about what they're nitpicking about, but you're not addressing the root of the problem. That's kind of what I'm referring to. And the root of the problem is you don't want to let go. I don't know. If we can embrace what used to be, but also God's always speaking, and he's always moving, and there's always more that he desires for us. And it's not that he changes, but the way that he came and he visited those on Azusa Street might not necessarily be the way that he comes and he visits us today. Okay? He's not going to visit us like how he visited your grandma, or he's not going to visit us like how he visited your grandpa. I mean, he wants to visit you where you're at, with who you are, because you are not who they were. And if we can be sensitive to Holy Spirit and how he wants to speak to us and how he wants to visit us and how he wants to fall on us, or however way he wants to, let him be the one. Let him be the decision maker. Let him be the one, because it's all for him anyway. It's all because of him anyway. So why not just leave it up to him and just be open and just yield, period. Moving on. Always feel like they have to follow. Let me get a drink of water first. Hold on. I'm not laughing because I don't want to offend. Like, I'm not gonna say that anymore, okay? If you didn't get it the first time I said it, I'm not trying to offend anybody. But I'm laughing because there's so many different opinions about this. And some think of it, don't you dare laugh, because it's a holy, it's holy. Okay, I just wonder if maybe everybody just thinks like they have to. And who's to say? I mean, it's not for me to say if God's touching you in a powerful way or if he's not. It's not. I have heard other churches who they lay hands, they call people up to the altar. They don't use catchers. they took all the catchers away and people stopped falling. I'm not gonna sit here and say that every time a pastor has ever laid hands on me in healing services or whatever that I've fallen out because I felt the power of God. There's been a handful of times where I've fallen out because I was literally pushed. But those times where I was maybe pushed, I may not have encountered the Lord there, but I encountered him when I went back to my seat. I encountered him later on when I was on my way to the bathroom and the Lord stopped me to pray for this woman, and then we really fell out in the lounge. I'm not here to say that you gotta go and get rid of all your ushers or get rid of all your that catches that are catchers. They're literally called catchers. But what would happen if you got rid of all of them one day and you were just like, nope, we're gonna be without catchers today. And sometimes the anointing is so strong, I can't, no. Like, whether there's a catcher behind me or not, you know how many times I've fallen out without a catcher behind me? The kind of revival I'm crying out for is like, God, you're gonna wreck everybody. Like, everybody's gonna get ruined. I mean, the catchers are gonna need catchers. And the catchers who are catching the catchers gonna need catchers. To the point where you ain't gonna have no catchers. Because guess what? Even the catchers need an encounter with the Lord. So what you gonna do then? Everybody's gonna be out. Okay, we have to move because I have to plug my camera in. When Christians don't disciple their kids. That's good. Disciple with right or correct theology. I think it's important for parents to get their theology right and to know what they believe, why they believe it. I'm praying to God that I could do the same with my own, since I have my own. Disciple them. Disciple them. Teach them the ways of Jesus. Teach them to be kind. Teach them to speak life. And show them where that comes from. Okay, don't let them get that off of TikTok. Don't get them wired up with self-love and DIYs and doing it yourself. Self-care, which is all good in its place. The truth of all truths from the scripture, disciple your kids with that. Like I said, I'm really watching what I say and holding my words with caution, because I may have a almost 2-year-old right now, but she gonna be 14 one day. And I'm gonna look back at this video and say, yeah, easier said than done. But I'm praying that the way that I disciple myself and the way that I teach myself by the word of God and by different books that I read, of course from the scriptures, and from learning more and more about theology and things that I never learned in church, and that I could, it's just different questions and things that I could never really get answers for or even thought to have answers for growing up in church. That's a lie. I never grew up in church, technically, in '05. So what, I was like 12, 13. So I didn't necessarily grow up in church, but the latter half of my life, yeah. I mean, I was growing up in ministry pretty much every day. So disciple your kiddos. Disciple them well. Disciple them with powerful truth and theology that you understand. Because how are you teaching? How are we discipling our kids with things that we don't even know? We just know surface level stuff. Like, oh yeah, we do this because, I mean, essentially that's what we teach them in Sunday school, right? But eventually they're not going to be in Sunday school. And the rate with these kids are going, they're so smart. It was always known to keep kids out of things. There's just some things that they don't need to know, I understand. But then it's like, no, we treat them like they're dumb. Like, we treat them like they're stupid. And they are far from. They're just so smart. And so if we treat them like that, if we have that understanding that, oh, they are just kids and they can't understand, then you're dumb. You're the one that needs discipling. So disciple your kids. Ching. Friends, I didn't even close out the video, so I wanted to now. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope this opens up conversation. I don't mean it to be an offensive type of conversation, but just to ask questions and to understand why, or get some type of idea why we do certain things. Just to ask and maybe get an answer or create a conversation around the certain things that we do or don't do. And what I think I'm trying to say is some is more on a personal individual level, whereas some is more on a corporate church level. I think it's just a cool way to have a conversation and ask, why do you do this? Or why do we do this? Nothing to offend
Just ask, that's all. And may I add, if you don't feel like we should be questioning why we do certain things in church, I'm talking about on a more corporate level, why we do what we do, and if you don't feel comfortable about questioning or asking questions, then I wonder what we do with the book of Psalms. David, how long, O Lord, have you forgotten me? God, I mean, he asks God questions. So I don't know why people always get touchy-feely about when people ask. A perspective where we can create a healthy conversation that leaves people with a conclusion and not to a point where people are feeling or they're left still kind of unsure and they don't really know. Now the difference is when you have people who just, they have their mind set up and they don't care. They still don't understand, and if they can't understand it, then they'll walk away and they'll get offended. They can't really understand why, and they can't wrap their human mind around it. So because of that, then they leave or they get offended and they never come back. In that case, what can you do? You love, you connect, you do your part, you bless and you pray, but also leave room for the fact that maybe people are just doing it because people do it and they don't even really know why. Some things I know that you can't describe because it's God, and it's God all by himself. I'm just more concerned of the fact where there are people who kind of just do it because other people are doing it, and because that's just what we do. Why? That's all. That's all. So I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you're notified of my next upload, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys.